Welcome back to the Growing Band Director podcast. This is episode number 155. I'm here with Alejandro Gonzalez, percussion teacher in Round Rock, Texas, and inventor of the P1000 percussion table. I'm very fascinated. Great to see you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Tell us a little bit about where you teach, what you teach, and all that.
So I teach in Round Rock, Texas. I teach at a school called Walsh Middle School, and my head director's name is Jennifer Bergeron. She's incredibly talented music teacher. I would say she's like next level genius when it comes to sequencing band and really figuring out what steps the kids are missing. And when I came to teach with her, I taught for 8 years before I got to work with her. She would always ask the question, "What's the smallest, most achievable goal?" And I was like, that's so genius. Like, of course, the smallest, most achievable goal is the next thing to do. And she would say, things like sometimes you're going from A to D and you're skipping B and C. But by the time you get to like J, they're going to wish they had the information for B and C. And so it really slowed down my teaching and really slowed down what I was able to become. And I've just really loved teaching there. And as she's kind of mentored me in being a slower, more methodical teacher, that kind of came into the invention of the practice pad table because I needed more time. I needed more time where the kids weren't messing with equipment, they weren't setting up. And I had been dealing with this for about 12 years at this time, where either I had straight line pads or I had something like that. And so just being in that environment of a whole bunch of professionals at Walsh has really just led me to take myself to the next level and take what I think of an invention, or if I thought of a small idea and I really got to sequence it through. And now I have a 72-piece patent on a table that will hopefully help out many teachers have that time that they have available, but we're losing it due to setting up stands, setting up practice pads, or the kids are just sitting in the back of the classroom that first 10, 15 minutes of teaching when we're doing long tones and things like that. So I'm trying to get this 10 or 16 hours or so back to the kids, back to the band directors. And that kind of just working at Walsh has really unleashed what I thought was possible with kids and as a teacher.
It's fantastic. I will say for people who are listening audio only, they should run over and check this episode out 155 on YouTube, because you have a demo in front of you and the real deal, and you're gonna walk us through it and people can see it. They can also go to your YouTube channel, which is, I think I'm correct, AAG_music with a Z,
Yeah.
as well as AAG music with a Z.com. So that's the tip. You sort of talked about why you invented the table. I think it's brilliant. And it's great for percussion classes, also full band classes where there are percussionists as well. So can you walk us through it? What are the features of it? Why is it so fantastic?
Absolutely. So the first thing is each table comes with 10 magnetic inserts and 10 practice pads. So these all magnetize onto a specific spot of the table, and they're all height adjustable. So on this set, I have 3 inserts, and that kid is maybe 6 feet, maybe like 5'10". Right next to it, I have 2 inserts. This kid's probably like 5'8" to 6 feet. One insert would be maybe like a 5.5 foot to 5'10". No insert would be about 4.5 feet to about 5.5 feet. So you can really hit the height for every single student with it being height adjustable. The whole table comes up and down. It collapses with a single click. And then there's 2 latches underneath. You just click one side and click the other side, and the whole table collapses down. When it's fully collapsed, it's 4 feet by 18 inches. And inside, you have 4 shelving units of adjustable storage. And so you can customize it however you want. I tend to keep my whole mallet bag inside of here, and I have about 10 pairs of sticks. So if the kids are like, "Oh, I forgot my sticks, I need to go run across the band hall," like, no, don't run across the band hall. Please, the sticks are inside. The music is inside. I keep 2 books. I mean, this is a sample binder, but I keep 2 books inside the table as well, because from the inside of the table, you can bring out your built-in music stand. It's a two-sided music stand. And then it just clicks in on top, just like so. And so now you have four kids or four people in general looking at the music from this side, and you have four people engaged on the music from the other side. And so with the built-in music stand, it only needing two books, it releases all of that need of I have to go set up for band class, and then I have to set up more stands. I have to set up more pads. I had to get my more music. Like if everything's already condensed inside the table, then the kids aren't wasting any of that time. I happen to pair my table with a series that I call the daily drills. And so on my daily drill series, I start with a progressive set of exercises. Like the first exercise is pretty easy. It's just basic 8 on the hand, some 16th note stuff, some 8th note triplet stuff. But by the time you get to level 10, like there's flam stuff, there's mixed roll stuff. They have mastered timing studies, 3 camps, buzz rolls, diddle strokes. It just it kind of like lays out a curriculum for teachers who aren't percussion teachers. I'm trying to streamline teachers kind of asking about rudiments or whatnot. So a lot of non-percussion band directors would be like, what rudiment should I teach at this part of the
Right.
year?
Yeah.
And I haven't taught a single rudiment in my career. I kind of like pick things from band music that they're going to see in grade 2, grade 3 lit, and I put that into warm-ups. And I say, play daily drills 1 for September. In October, play daily drills 2. In November, play daily drills 3. And they kind of have 1 month of building an entire skill set. And then what I do on top of that is I have audio tracks.
And people can see can use those tracks for themselves as well because you have them on your YouTube channel.
Absolutely. I have a few samples of the tracks on my YouTube channel. And then there's an educational bundle that you could purchase on the website. It has 60 audio tracks for the first 5 daily drills. And I would say sometime around this summer, I'll be releasing the tracks for 6 through 10. It takes a good amount of time because there's 6 levels inside of each daily drill. So on daily drill 1, there's a beginner 1, beginner 2, intermediate 1, intermediate 2, advanced 1, advanced 2. Each one just gets progressively faster, and they run about 15 minutes long. The reason I kind of kept them around 15 minutes is so that when band directors need to send their percussion kids out so that they could do a long tone warm up or articulation warm up or a very specific like slur 2, tongue 2 warm up, the percussionists aren't going to get anything out of that, or they're going to cover up those articulations, or they're going to cover up the band sound. So it's a great way to just get the percussion kids out, put on track intermediate 2 and let them run it away. I tend to, when I'm not working with my kids, if it's my band and I have to send my percussion kids out, I'll put on my computer and I'll open up a Google Meet, and then I'll keep my iPad right next to me. And so I'm like teaching class, doing my long tone things, and I just refer down to my iPad and say, oh, yep, they're still on task. I can still see them all playing around the table. And if one kid gets off task or they stop playing, I can just unmute and say, hey, can y'all get back on task real quick? It's only like 7 minutes left. And then I'll just mute it, and then I'll just keep teaching my class. And as soon as percussion comes out, and I mean, they lock the table away and
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to point as you're putting it away.
yeah.
Can you put it away completely? Can you put the other side down too so people can see? This is one thing I like about it as well is that I know you weren't planning on that, but you know, it is pretty small and functions as a simple trap table as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's
And so,
black. It's black. Not that that's a coincidence, but you can put it on your concert stage.
oh yeah, absolutely. And it's sitting on carpet right now, and with three fingers, I can move it pretty much anywhere I want to. And these pads just, it's easiest to twist the pads off. And when all of them are inside, I mean, it's pretty, it's pretty streamlined. There is one little like ledge on here.
Sure.
But what I do is I teach my kids, like as they're putting the tambourines down, that the tambourine will kind of go over the ledge. That way it doesn't make sound when you put it down.
Love
If
it.
they put it in the middle and then they let their hand go, then you hear that
Yeah.
and it's like as a percussion teacher, that kind of like drives me insane because we have to be invisible until it's time for us to be heard. And so I do love that we have like just a giant beach towel. You just lay it on there and they could put all of their stuff on there and roll it around as much as they want. I always feel bad when they struggle carrying those giant trap tables and they're so small. They're just trying to carry them around and it's much easier for them to just put it on the table and roll it around.
One thing I love about the design you have is that they can face each other. Not only are they looking at the music
Yes.
together, but you can instantly be starting, and their groove has got to be so much deeper because they're always focusing on each other. So that's again not a coincidence in your design.
No, absolutely not. I like to teach the kids from the first time that they play that there's always something beyond yourself. And so when we do start playing with music, they're seeing the other kid's sticks on the other side of the music.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're always trying to match heights, they're always trying to match velocities, they're trying to match tempo. And the fact that everybody can see each other real easy and see each other's music real easy, it just makes everything real organic. And I don't have to have the metronomes really loud. I don't have to really do much to really make it work for me. It kind of just does its own. I also have found that when students set themselves up, like when they are using stands, or I asked a trio to go out and start working a keyboard ensemble once, they just set themselves up in a circle. They set themselves up in a little arc. And I was like, why did you guys set up in an arc like that? And they were like, I don't know, just felt like being at the table. And so the kids just, they want to see each other, they want to communicate. And from the first day, it's teaching them that. And it's so cool that, like, I didn't envision the table having these like positive effects, but it really does. And I can't wait to see what other students and what other teachers do with this table, what they're able to accomplish, and what their kids are able to discover on the table as well.
I was watching one of your videos and you were talking about the design of the actual practice pad that you use. So can you
Yeah.
take one of those off and kind of show us and talk about the two different sides and why it's skinny and all that stuff?
Yeah, so on the days that we start teaching snare drum, so at my school we do marimba all through January. So we start marimbas in August and we go through Christmas break, and then once we come back, then we show them a snare drum, and I get a snare drum and I turn it over and I show them that a snare is only 3 inches wide and it runs the entire length of the snare drum. And so they can have from the middle to the edge to play that snare, but it has to be within that 3 inch wide gap. And so what I did on this, I don't know if I can get it close enough for it to, yeah, there we go. What I did was I created a 3 inch laminate on one side and a 3 inch gum rubber side. And so they know that this is loud, this is medium, and this is soft. And so when they start playing it, when we start doing dynamics, they'll always hit louder towards themselves, which is the middle of the drum. They'll hit at a medium, like 6 to 9 inches right here in the middle of the pad. And then when they're playing at 1 inch, 3 inches, they're at the edge of the pad. And it starts to keep their beads in. If they miss, so say they're playing and they're just being real sloppy, they're going to hit that table. And when they get that sound, it's like an immediate reaction to them, like, oh, I missed. I need to do something different with my sticks. And then their beads come right back together. So for me to say, hey, guys, get your beads together or play in the middle of the practice pad, it hasn't been a thing because when they miss, they know immediately that they miss. And so they bring themselves right back to here. Now, there is one loud sound and one soft sound. And so what I do with the students is, say we're doing region music around the table and we're just learning it. I'll keep some of the more advanced students on the laminate, and I'll put some of the students who aren't as advanced or still need practice time on it on the gum rubber. And so they're not as loud, they're not as distractive to the whole table. So maybe I have 4 kids that can and 4 that can't. And then I just observe, I observe, I observe. And as the students who need to add to laminate start adding in, then you can start hearing that cohesion come in. And so snare drum wise, like our kids like do really, really well at region band because they have this tool super early, and we're just able to learn the music in a like community environment very fast. And so they match the kids who are the best faster than they have in the past, just because they can see each other and everything really quickly. When you're doing 16th note timing, I will sometimes have the kids put their dominant hand on the laminate and their non-dominant hand on the gum rubber, and then you get that taco 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 sound. So you can work the timing of just the right hand. And then as the kids get better, I take them away and put them on just gum rubber. So it's the kids who aren't playing as well doing the taco 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 sound. And then when their right hands don't line up, we talk about it. We're like, what's causing us not to line up? Are we doubling a right hand somewhere? Are we slowing down our right hand? Why are we slowing down the right hand? And then once everybody's on gum rubber and then everybody's on like an even playing field, then we magnetically turn the pad around and then we start left hand lead. So we'll put the left hand on the laminate and then the right hand on the gum rubber, and then start the whole process over. I just presented at TMEA and I had a booth, and some people were talking about like, well, what if we put it sideways, and like you had the gum rubber to the laminate, and like that's how they learn dynamics. I was like, absolutely. And you can play any sort of games with it that you want to make them sound right. Another thing that I've done in the past was you can take all the magnets off and just put them anywhere you want to on the table. So in about 10 seconds, now I kind of have a makeshift timpani. Oh, I didn't even talk about this. The whole table comes in at 31.5 inches. And that's to the tip of the gum rubber. And that happens to be the same height as the timpani that we have at my school. So timpani normally range between 31.5 to 32.5 inches, depending on the wheels that they have. And so that's why I built the table at the height that I did.
Love it.
But in like 10 seconds, now I have all my pads kind of arranged like a timpani or like a tenor drum. And so you can really work playing zones because you're only given a 3x6 piece of laminate, which is about the playing zone for a timpani as well. And so now my kids are like working timpani stuff while they're looking at the music. I can have 2 kids practicing timpani as I have 1 kid on the actual timpani drums, and then I can have the rest of the kids playing marimba or something just to get those pitches in their head. So again, working region music, now I have a tool where these kids are practicing moving their arms, moving their hands, moving on an even playing field, moving like the person in front of them, and then they're preparing themselves to go to the drums. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Like, I haven't found all the cool uses that the table can do. I've only had mine for about a year and a half.
I think it's great. When you have it all together, it fits up to 10 kids, I think. And I just want to go back. You were talking about, playing to the edge at piano and in the center of the drum at forte. Like, there's a lot of teachers who haven't heard that before. So that is definitely, I just wanted to point that out. That's a big thing. When you're in the center of the drum, too far away from you, that's loud to soft, and students should be following that over the center of the drum. Mm-hmm. Okay. So how do people order this if it's something they want to do?
So the builder, his name is Jim Malloy. He's based in Houston, and his company is called JEM Woodworking, and his website is jemwoodworkingtx.com. On his website, there's a contact me button, and in that contact, he'll talk about the projects that he's done, and you can ask for a quote for the P1000. And me and him present at TMEA, TBA, any of those conferences. We're right next to each other. and he's the one who'll get you a quote, and he's the one that will build the table. As soon as the table is built, I will go to Houston and pick them up, and then I put on the magnets, I create the practice pads, and then I'll do the final delivery. And so if you wanted to have me come in, I could show your kids how to use it, and I can spend a day or spend a half day and really work some of your classes through the table, show them basic care for it. But right now we're kind of just been in Texas. We're in two schools in the Houston area, one school in the Round Rock area, and we're at one school in Wichita Falls at Holiday Middle School and Holiday High School. And so those, I was able to get out to most of them and like see the kids and see their excitement and deliver it and be there. And it's so cool watching the kids get through it on the first time and watching those smiles happen, and just watching the way we've been doing it in a new way, where these kids are just genuinely excited about coming to their community table every day, rather than standing in a straight line and watching the teacher, and like it's the teacher versus the kids. But now it's like everybody's in a literal drum circle and we're all just having fun together. I've also found that I have a few non-percussion band teacher friends that have played on the table, and they said that they felt like it wasn't all eyes on them. They feel that when they teach percussion class, it's 10 kids watching them and then them watching the 10 kids. But when they're around this table, they can easily say, hey, let's all look at that person's technique, or let's look at this person's technique, or let's try to balance to this person, instead of like all eyes on me. All eyes goes on the table, and it kind of takes the pressure off of teaching that beginning percussion class, especially for a non-percussionist teacher.
Well, I think it's a fabulous invention. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
I think it's great, and I do want to be very clear. I'm not paid for this promotion in any way. I'm not getting a free table because I'm pushing it. I think it's just a fantastic thing, and I want more people to know about it. So thanks for being on, doing what you do.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. If anybody's interested, you can, like you say, you can find me on the social medias. And if you're interested in one of these tables, we're going to try to get you one as fast as we possibly can. They are handcrafted for each school. So we don't make them until the orders come in. So we'll definitely have the first round out before summertime. And this summer, we're just going to be cranking away, just trying to get as many ready for whoever wants them in the future.
We sincerely appreciate you taking your valuable time and listening to the Growing Band Director podcast. Your students are very lucky to have a band director like you. If you have any suggestions for episode topics, or think you have an area of expertise to share on a show with us, please reach out. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to help spread the word, please give us a 5-star review and tell your band director friends to subscribe as well. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our YouTube channel, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks for listening to The Growing Band Director. See you next week.